Are you tired of children constantly knocking on your door asking for candy? Do they not take your hint of you leaving all your lights off? Well, give them something they'll never forget with Candyman brand deluxe embeddable candy razors. Most razors are easily spotted with their telltale silver gleam, but Candyman brand razors are color-coded to match any Halloween candy. Make your order today and take part in the great American tradition of inflicting mouth trauma on unsuspecting, but let's admit it, deserving children. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk.
An opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Go, 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 go.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror!
Sabrina, don't just stare at it, eat it.
New theatrical releases always get priority.
But we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible.
Wow, that didn't sound good.
Hey, kids.
Hey, kiddies.
This is one of your hosts, Bryce Hansen. I am foremost expert on scare. Yes. I don't know.
And I'm the spook. Wait, no, we got that.
I don't know. Whatever. Welcome to Horror Movie Talk. Check out our website at horrormovietalk.com. You'll find links to all our social media, which we're active on: the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagrams, the TikToks.
LinkedIn,
and
Reddit,
so forth.
And the rest.
We post new episodes every Wednesday, so please subscribe to not miss out on one instant of fun. And if you're an Apple user, please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, because we are trying to get up to 200 ratings.
200 ratings on Apple Podcasts. We need 1,000 followers on Facebook. And they're all going to be legit followers. None of this, I'm paying for Facebook-like followers. I want all you motherfuckers on there. Mm-hmm. Every single one.
Okay, we've got a fantastic show today. Today we're going to be talking about Candyman 1992, the original. Candyman was supposed to be coming out like this week or next, the remake.
Yeah, right about now.
So, since you can't watch...
But instead of that... we get what's happening right now, which is kind of the antithesis of the point of the movie.
So we'll start out by giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry, 5 being a perfectly average film that hits all the expected marks, and 10 being so good it transcends genre boundaries. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later, we'll be talking about our new brand.
Oh, boy. What?
My brand!
We just...
Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
It's our new brand.
We just released a new logo commissioned by Dustin Goebel. And we are big fans of it, and we can...
That is really super. How did a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
So we're going to talk a little bit about that, about the behind-the-scenes drama. I don't know. We may not have much to talk about.
My brand!
But we will.
What's that from?
That's from that. There's a great commercial for Context. He's like,
oh, yeah, my brand.
But they don't.
Special eyes.
They won't carry my brand for my special eyes. Look with your special eyes. My brand.
That is really super. How did a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
And then we'll be playing a new game called Don't Blank on the Blank.
Don't blank on the blank?
We'll
sounds like a little game my wife and I play a lot.
We'll describe what this game is about when we get to it, but I'm pretty stoked about it.
Oh, well,
And then finally we'll do a little It Came From Social Media, where we'll read some comments from social media. But let's get into Candyman. This week we watched the original Candyman, and it was a treat.
It was a real treat.
Here's the trailer.
Have you ever heard of Candyman? If you look in the mirror and you say his name 5 times.
In cities everywhere,
Candyman.
they whisper his name.
Right. Candyman.
It's just a story.
Candyman.
Candyman.
Just a ghost story.
Candyman.
An entire community starts attributing the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure.
The legend first appeared in 1890. He was attacked, mutilated, and burned to death. Poor Candyman.
Helen, a woman died in there. Leave it.
Everyone knows he isn't real.
That's modern oral folklore.
Everyone. Except Helen Lyle.
Bernadette. It ain't safe around here.
I don't scare too easy.
Wanna know about Ruthie Jean? They ain't never gonna catch him.
Who?
Candyman.
Who is that?
I came for you.
Do I know you?
Now she is about to discover
Helen? Get out! Get out!
what's behind the mystery.
I'm sick.
What's behind the legend.
Listen, he's under the bed!
And most terrifying of all,
Come with me.
what's behind the mirror.
He's here.
Candyman, you don't have to believe. Just beware.
Yeah, we need to bring back 90s voiceover trailers.
I don't think we can. I think that man died.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we can get someone like him.
The guy who-
But I mean, that style of trailer where it's like a lot of color commentary
Yeah.
throughout it and just like...
We should get the guy who does the voice acting for Kermit the Frog to do it. In a world.
In a world.
In a world.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try. Candyman is available for streaming on Netflix, and you can rent it anywhere you can rent it. I prepared a synopsis, actually, pre-recorded, that I just wanted to get everything right and say it right.
Wow,
So-
this is not normal. I want to let you guys know.
because this is an important film to keep straight.
Okay.
So,
well,
I just wanted to get it all right. So here,
this is new to me.
yeah, here's
what you're doing.
Here's the synopsis. Who can take a rusty hook and split a chest in two? Cover it with honey and some killer bees too. The Candyman. The Candyman can. Who appears in mirrors if you call his name 5 times to get revenge for being lynched by angry racist whites. The Candyman. The Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he needs another victim, and you're looking pretty good.
Impressive. Very nice.
What the fuck have you been doing?
That took more time than I wish to admit.
You don't say.
Well, that's a karaoke track, so we'll see if we get flagged on that.
That was spectacular. Wow, man. That's the Candyman. Can you give us a little bit of that? Just a little. Just give me the Candyman can.
The Candyman can.
Wow.
My favorite line is to who appears in mirrors if you call his name 5 times to get revenge for being lynched by angry racist whites.
Yeah, I heard it all.
Yeah.
It's spectacular. I like who can take a rusty hook and split a chest in two. Wow.
Anyways,
Wow.
you're welcome. Candyman follows grad student Helen Lyle as she researches for her thesis on urban legends or folklore. When she stumbles across the legend of Candyman, whose story seems to be alive and thriving in the poverty-stricken projects of Chicago. Candyman is an African-American Bloody Mary-esque apparition that appears when his name is called in front of a mirror, but instead of the 3 Bloody Marys, you must say Candyman 5 times in some sort of supernatural 3/5 compromise. When the skeptical I was expecting a laugh from that, but that might be a deep.
Yeah, it's too deep.
cut.
I mean, I understood that you were going for some sort of music reference. I just am not.
No, the 3/5 compromise.
Are you going to mansplain to me right now?
This is all right. It's
no.
It's the good joke as long as you have to explain it.
You're right. Yeah, a friend of ours taught me that one.
Yeah. Well, just Google 3/5 compromise.
Oh, you're not going to get... Is this too political?
It's historical.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
So it's basically the southern United States, since a sizable portion of their population was slaves, they wanted their population to be represented in the House of Representatives.
Oh, and they get a 3/5 representation.
Yeah, so for every 5 slaves, you get 3.
Oh, dear.
Represent.
Oof. Yeah, no. Well, there's really no avoiding political talk in this episode. This is this is the core of this movie.
Yeah. So when the skeptical Helen calls Candyman 5 times in her mirror, she seals her fate and is led through a terrifying journey to discover the reality of Candyman. Candyman is impactful and multifaceted. Tony Todd as Candyman is an instant icon in horror with the great character design. It has a really unique silhouette, and Tony's hypnotic, disembodied baritone voice as the voice of Candyman is really just creates a great character.
The casting of Tony Todd in this is so, this is perfect casting. He's got an element of real grace and real dignity, that he carries with him everywhere. And his attire is so, it's scary, but it's also dignified and makes him seem very put together. He's not like a raggedy Freddy Krueger or some just kind of scary to be scary kind of guy like Jason, he's put together and a unique full package character person.
Right. There is an uneasy balance between Candyman being a sympathetic and seductive figure and that being the realization of some really deep-seated racist fears. While watching this, my wife pointed out some racist connotations in the plot, and my knee-jerk reaction was to defend the film and say she was grasping at straws. But as the film went on, there was actually a really compelling argument to be made for it relying on long-held racist stereotypes about the dangers of black men. I'm not, super qualified to talk about this, but there is a documentary on Shudder called Horror Noir. Did you watch it?
I didn't. I know you did.
It's fantastic. I highly recommend watching Horror Noir on Shudder. Anyways, they talk about this film for a good, 10-minute chunk. Here's some commentators in that documentary talking about Candyman.
Here again, we have a movie that echoes what happened in King Kong in the 30s. There's this black boogeyman, and he's in pursuit of this blonde white woman.
He becomes obsessed, recirculating the same tropes.
I don't think that character would go after poor black people.
Right.
This is where you can tell that Candyman came from the mind of a white person.
He chooses to haunt, to disrupt the lives of blacks in Chicago in the Cabrini Green projects, when really right across the tracks are essentially the representatives, the sort of the folks who would have been responsible, their ancestors, for his lynching.
He is the personification of racism in the United States, like what it looks like and what it can conjure, like all that negative energy. Like, what does it look like and what does it do?
Keep away from me!
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that, but to me, at the end of this movie, it felt like the movie itself was a kind of a monolith of racism in and of itself, because it felt tone deaf to the actual issues or problems that the black community faces, because it came from a bunch of white people.
Right. And the other,
and it feels that way.
Yeah,
it comes across that way to me.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more in detail in the spoiler section. That's probably the first thing I want to talk about in the spoiler section, but it's worth noting that you can approach it from many different angles. It's at once like a really great, African American role and character in popular cinema, but also it's pretty problematic in terms of plot.
And not only that, but there's so many different ways you can come at this, just in terms of it, just if you're just going to look at it in terms of it being a horror movie, it's solid.
Right.
And then also there's this weird, like you said, there's so many facets to this whole thing. The idea of this really tackles the idea of an urban legend. Mm-hmm. This fully fleshes out the idea of an urban legend.
Right.
And I remember this kind of shit in grade school, making its rounds through the playground, being like, oh, Bloody Mary or Candyman, or you say something in the mirror and then you turn on the lights and you spin 4 times. And the effect that those kinds of things, these urban legends have on communities is real.
Right,
to an extent.
Well, especially on children.
And it tackles specifically its effect on children in this movie.
So regardless of, the problematic nature of the movie, it's not, I don't really want to focus that much on it. It is one of the more interesting things to talk about.
Yeah.
But it's not like so problematic that you can't enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's not completely distracting. Anyways, regardless, it's a compelling gothic horror tale told well with the backdrop of the 90s urban Chicago. Candyman is an iconic monster and is one of the best horror movies on the topic of urban legends that I've come across. This is my first time watching it too.
This is my first time watching it as well. Yeah, I didn't expect what it was. I had very little knowledge prior to this movie, or watching this movie of exactly what. I didn't even know it was Clive Barker's deal.
Yeah. I only knew that it was like a Bloody Mary type of situation.
Yes, I knew that same thing.
And he had a hook. That's it.
I've been reading some stuff about Clive Barker recently, just because it's been on the tips of people's tongues, and primarily on horror subreddits right now. And some of the, I don't think I'll mirror some of the things that I saw written, which is, I don't think he gets a fair shake in terms of being, a unique horror screenwriter, because all of his stuff is more uncomfortable to sit through than his competitors like Wes Craven or John Carpenter, because there's an element of severe taboo in all of them.
Yeah, there's a real psychosexual nature.
Yeah,
like ribboning throughout the plots of Clive Barker stuff.
And I think there was a moment in this movie where he even said something that, like one of the main lines in Hellraiser, which is "Your pain will be exquisite" or something like that. I think Candyman said that to her when he was. Anyway, I don't know that I enjoyed it to the level of an 8. It was, even though it came in at about an hour and 40 minutes, it felt a lot longer than that to me. And a lot of it was just kind of, there's a lot of show, you know, and not a lot of actual action. And the scares just didn't affect me at all. The things that did affect me was the discomfort of the subject matter. And I don't, no one likes being uncomfortable. So I'd say I recognize this movie for what it is. But as far as enjoying watching it, the score I'm feeling right now is kind of like a low 7. Yeah. Maybe a high 6 or a low 7, something like that.
Yeah, I gave it an 8. I think it's a real strong movie. Taken within the context that this is a 90s horror movie. This is one of the strongest 90s horror movies, probably.
There's some tremendous elements in it. It's just, it doesn't hold up that well for me. Like, like the bees, like just trying to think about how that was done is impressive. Like, he has a hive of bees leaving his mouth.
Yeah, there's kind of a weird,
perversion
milieu of like ideas for the character, like the bees and the honey, like just, it's part of the origin story, but it's like,
but why?
Feels like, wow, that's that's so extra. As the kids would say.
So extra.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, and I like the mood of it, and I like the pacing. I thought was really well. I
didn't like the pacing.
You didn't like the pacing?
Far too slow for me. But I'll give
what I like
setting. This is my perfect setting. Like the urban decay. I love the just everything about the backdrop of this movie is great.
Right. I think,
and then obviously Candyman himself, Todd.
What I really liked about it was the first act where it's setting up. And they really take some time in telling the stories about, you don't witness that much, but you hear recountings of the tales of what the Candyman did to like actual people that people know.
Right.
So that really solidifies the idea of like folk tales and urban legends and kind of sets the tone for it.
I gotta eat my own words here. I just remembered. Much like the Candyman enjoys candy or honey or something to that nature, I have never seen such an array of perfectly exquisite tits in a movie. The boobs in this movie.
Yeah, there's some good boobs.
A+.
Man, that the last scene with the grad student.
Oh, baby.
Like, that was almost excessive. It's like,
and that's what Clive Barker does great. That's really where he's good.
He didn't direct this.
No,
but
he was part of it. He was in there. Like,
could we find a shirt that's more gossamer? Let's just take this.
I don't know how he's so good at picking out the boobies, because I think he's gay. I think Clive Barker's gay, but the gossamer, that brings it all back. It's like, can we get gossamer in here? He would know what gossamer is. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. So,
sure. He's an Englishman, so yes.
Right.
All right, so let's get into the mid-roll. As you know, Horror Movie Talk reviews new movies. During coronavirus, this is pretty difficult because there's no theaters open.
It's hard to do, let me tell you.
Our favorite theaters are the small, privately owned ones in our community. There's a ton around the Portland area. And during this whole shutdown, all of these theaters are in serious jeopardy. I mean, they're already competing against huge corporations, and now they've had their legs swept out from under them with all the shutdown. So please, during the shutdown, support your local theater. Just go on Google and look up what your independent local theater is nearest you, and go to their website or go to their box office and buy some gift cards.
And tell them Horror Movie Talk sent you.
Just because we want to make sure that the theaters with actual personality are still around when we open back up. Please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Horror Movie Talk. And we've got a bunch of different tiers of all price levels. Probably our most popular perks is the Afterpod, where we leave the mics running after the show and just shoot the shit on
a whole nother podcast with at least 50 or 60 episodes to date. And you know, I mean, this is a free podcast that we produce, and any support that you can give us it means a lot to us, and you know, hopefully eventually we'll be able to quit our jobs and just exist on your dime, on the merits of Horror Movie Talk. Right. But until then, we do need listener support.
Right. And I know you appreciate no advertisements on the show, right?
Yeah.
I can't promise that's going to last forever, but you know, just throw us a couple ducats. Just check out the different tiers on there, the different perks. There might be something that you like. You can also support the podcast by buying or renting any movie or product on Amazon. If you click through the green button in the header of our website, that's horrormovietalk.com. And
hey, I got something real quick. You guys, if you want access to a bunch of free horror movies, you should head on over to Shudder.com. That's SHUDDER.com. And you know, that gets you HMT at checkout, gets you a 30-day free trial to Shudder. But you know, if you want to help us out, you stay on and pay them some money, you know, after the free trial, because they do keep track of that stuff. So just saying, you know, maybe sign up for Shudder, pay it, and cost them a couple bucks.
Mm-hmm. And especially on Shudder, they've got that horror noir doc that I just mentioned, along with a ton of other great stuff. But that horror noir doc is great. Is a great watch, especially after watching Candyman. Check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artiste. God damn it. Who fucks hard.
How hard does he fuck?
Very.
Wow.
He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. So contact him on Instagram at DGOEBEL00, DGoebel00 on Instagram. Make your artistic dreams come true. Check out our new logo.
Oh, man.
For Horror Movie Talk, and you can just see what kind of kick-ass custom work you can get.
That was basically his first attempt at it, too. It wasn't like we were like, back to the drawing boards. Dustin came right out the gates with the hardest fucking logo I've ever seen. It's two skulls back to back, married via. It's just like how Bryson. This is the visual representation of Bryson, my shared minds.
And we'll be talking a little more about it later. Also, thanks again to Matthew Allen.
Max
Allen. God.
What?
Is it Max?
Yes, it's Max. Matthew.
Was it Maxwell? He just changed his Instagram.
I know. You can't do this, Max. You got a bunch of, you got many months of us plugging your Instagram, and then you change it. So now all those back advertisements are going. They're like, where's this guy? Where is he? So,
anyways, Max Allen, he did our intro music, and so we're appreciative.
Dude, the kid just sent us a kid. I don't know how old he is. He sent us an outro music. I don't know. I don't think we have it queued up for the episode today. But man, that thing fucking slaps. He's if you're a podcaster and you're in need of someone to produce some music for you, Max can help you out.
So let's, thanks again for listening, and let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. All right, so let's talk about, is Candyman racist?
Yes. I mean, look, I'm the most standoffish person when it comes to entering into these debates because I don't. What do I know?
Full disclosure, we are two white cisgendered males.
Yeah, I don't feel qualified, but I do watch this movie and it does make me go, that shit's racist. Yeah. This movie feels racist to me.
It is very much like that black man wants to have sex with that white woman and she doesn't seem too keen about it. And it's like this not great, like, is that supposed to be scary that like this black man is attracted to this white woman or I don't know how to put it, but it's like there's some deep-seated.
So he's got a backstory. How's his backstory go?
Yeah, so the backstory is
1810.
Was it 18? I think it was 1890.
Yeah, sorry.
1890. So post-Civil War America. It's in the North in Chicago.
Chi-town.
Chi-town.
Chi-town. Chi-chi-chi-chia.
And he's the...
Could you tell that we're white? Chi-chi-chi-chia.
Well, yeah, so he's the son of a slave or grandson of a slave or whatever. But he's well-educated. He's very talented. He's a painter who does portraiture. And he is commissioned to do a portrait for a wealthy landowner's daughter.
Yeah.
Who is white. And they fall in love. And people find out about it because she gets pregnant with his baby. And so what happens is the father isn't happy. And
her father isn't
happy. And he hires a bunch of hired goons to grab the man.
Who is it?
And
goons. Who? Hired goons.
And they rip him out from his house, take him down to the Rusty Hook store, I guess, and they saw off his hand with a rusty saw blade. And
they take him to the apiary. Which is not where apes are. Apparently, it's where bees are.
Yeah. And then they smother him with honey and let the bees sting him to death.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you put honey on you if you want to die by bee?
I think that would be like more of an ant thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like it.
I'm not really a murderer, so I wouldn't know. So, I mean, that's the story, which is like racism around like interracial love. There's so much anger about it that it caused this guy to be murdered, and then they cremate him and then spread his ashes all over the Cabrini Green, which I guess is a section of Chicago.
Yeah, so it feels like once you get done with this movie, once you're done with it, and then you start thinking about it, it feels like they thought, or the writers, Clive, thought, well, the ends justifies the means, which is to say the racist part of this movie was the lynching.
Right.
And then everything else is justified within the movie.
Right.
In the name of the first attempt at racism.
Because he's seeking justice, and so he's justified in some way.
But in so doing, he creates a racial stereotype to chase down white women. And not only that,
there was a
bunch of gang members who repeatedly assault her in bathrooms and back alleys and stuff.
Right, and just the fact that the black people in this movie were either very, very aggressive or super passive.
Yeah.
Like they're just there to listen to White Lady explain things to them. And then the other thing is, like, they're all acted in one big swarm. Like, they're
a hive mind. Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, there's this tribe that, like, all of a sudden this big swath of people, lead out of this out of these projects to go to her funeral, or to go out and set fire to this pile of rubble.
It's extremely, I'm going to say the word, problematic. Because you have this girl who goes around basically flashing her badge of, it's okay, I'm a master student, I'm doing my thesis, I'm just here, I'm a smart person, and then she's doing this to all these black people in projects who are like, oh, is that supposed to make me stupid? And it's like, this is bad.
I mean, there is like one kind of redeeming moment where the character played by Vanessa Williams, the mother, she's kind of standoffish. She's also kind of like super passive as Helen is explaining what's going on. But like when she does talk, she's like, yeah, people just think we're a bunch of thugs and stuff in this project. Like, I'm just here trying to make a living, basically.
But she's the only one who's represented as not being a thug. Every other character there is represented as being a thug.
And also she's a single mother. So, I mean...
yeah, it's just rife with problematic issues.
Yeah, rife with problematic issues. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things... But on this horror noir documentary, I know, like, Jordan Peele was like, he loved the fact that this movie was made because it opened his eyes to, like, hey, that is someone that looks like me. Like, that's something that we can do, is be like a major horror villain. We can be a Freddy Krueger.
Right.
Like, it's not anything that releases some of the limitations of, like, just being a token black friend.
It still comes into being a weird area because it's like, oh, I can be the bad guy.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, that's...
Oh, hey, I can be a threat to white women in that way.
Oh, my God. But the flip side of that exact same coin is, who is the person you would want to be in a horror movie? You would want to be the bad guy. The iconic... The bad guy is the one who people go to the movie for.
Right.
It's the reason people go to the movie.
That or the final girl. Maybe.
Jaws, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw. Nobody's rooting for the girl. Everybody's rooting for the bad guy.
So, anyways, that's kind of the backdrop of it. They were still racist back in the 90s. Glad it's good that we've gotten over that.
Yeah, thank God.
This would never get made today. Oh, wait. Again, we mentioned this is a Clive Barker story. It's actually adapted from one of his short stories that's completely different. It's set in Liverpool and much more focused on, like, classism than...
That makes sense.
And it was adapted and directed by another Englishman, Bernard Rose, which adapted it to include, some of these more racial issues.
Problematic issues.
And we're glad that we got another white guy explaining racism to us. So.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good place to be.
Like we are right now.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Like the two of us are.
Right. This is somewhat...
This is... problematic.
Very.
Let's move on. The really interesting thing about this movie is the focus on how urban legends work, or how folklore works and spreads, and basing a villain on that. It's probably not the first one. It's probably not...
Yeah, no.
Maybe not even the best one, but to me, it's like the one. It's a real standout.
Yeah, this is the movie that deals with urban legends. Like, I mean,
the Candyman is kind of the patron saint of urban legend horror movies.
Which is like, okay, so what was your experience as a little kid? How much of this kind of shit did you get exposed to in school? And you went to public school your whole life, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a bunch.
I was a gifted white child, so I went to a private charter school.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Fuck you.
So. Yeah, I mean, I heard all of it. It's very much a part of the like sleepover experience. Is like sharing these stories and being like, you know what Bloody Mary is, and like, are you gonna say it into the mirror and you're too scared to?
Yeah,
and so we knew that there was a lot of talk about this movie.
Yeah,
when I was younger about that because it created that. It created a new Bloody Mary for people, which was Candyman. I remember it being like thought of as like a pretty extreme movie, but maybe that was just because we were younger and it felt very scary. But it was a significant horror movie when I was growing up.
Yeah, same. I remember the energy that the kids that I knew that the energy they gave to things like this was inordinate. It was extreme. And so it made for like this element of spookiness in your everyday life that was detached from like entertainment or anything like that. It was like, oh, this shit is real. Don't do this or do it. Like, I dare you. And that's always how it came.
Right.
It's
a dare thing.
It's not only is it a dare thing, it's also almost a vicious dare. It was like, oh yeah, fuck you. Go ahead and say Candyman 5 times in the mirror. Turn the lights out, say Candyman 5 times in the mirror. Like, I remember, like that was a thing. You go into the bathroom, you turn the lights out, you say it 5 times, you turn the lights on, and then is there something there? Or like the Bloody Mary thing where it'd be like you would let your eyes do the your eyes in the dark did the work of creating some vision, because you know how you still have like tracers and stuff in your vision after a couple seconds. And that was like, oh my God, I see her. Do you see her?
Yeah, I never did it.
You never did it?
I was too scared.
Wow.
I never did it.
I did it a lot. I was just waiting for that sweet, sweet death, sweet embrace.
So it starts out with Helen. She's studying urban legends. It opens with her taking like a recording of someone recounting a story about Candyman, and it's a couple sitting in front of... Okay, pause. Can we talk about how inconsistent the rules with Candyman are? Okay.
Yeah, I felt a lot of Gremlins-esque rule-breaking baloney going on here.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, you say his name into the mirror 5 times while looking into the mirror, right? So it opens with the boyfriend and her girlfriend looking in the mirror, and she dares him to say Candyman 5 times in front of the mirror.
Yeah.
And he's a badass, and he gets up to 4. And she's like, no, I've never seen someone get past 3. And she's like, she is just creaming her pants. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go downstairs. And so he goes downstairs, and then she says Candyman once into the mirror to finish the 5, and then he instantly appears, slashes her, and like the blood pours out from the ceiling in the living room below where the boyfriend's sitting. So his name
just being said
in general, being said in front of a mirror. So if you just happen to be talking about,
sets up a weird precedent.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, if you just randomly were talking about
what's the amount of time that
Sammy Davis Jr., you know, with like your friends, like every 5th person that mentions the Candyman is just going to get murdered.
Right.
Like it doesn't have to be in a row. It doesn't have to be the same person.
It sets a weird precedent. It doesn't have to be in a row. It doesn't have to be the same person. Who knows how long the amount of time that needs to pass before it gets reset.
Yeah.
And like, And are you all on individual timers? Or is the timer universal for all of you?
Is it you have to say it or you have to hear it being said?
Right.
So could you play a tape recorder? It's
yes.
very problematic.
Yes, exactly. This is like, at least in Evil Dead 2, you get, you get an obvious representation. The recording, just the words being spoken aloud, either aloud or by recording, is enough to bring the Evil Dead upon you. But with Candyman, it's just anybody who says Candyman in front of a mirror up to and including 5 times.
And then the other thing is, like, it happens instantly for her. He instantly shows up behind her and rips her in half. With Helen, she says it all by herself in the mirror. Nothing happens.
Yeah, it's like
for days.
Well, what could be? You know what I think that is? It's that. You know what I think that is?
It's just basically setting up a bunch of red herrings.
No. This probably speaks to the Candyman himself, right? Which is his work ethic. Which is like, as things pop up. You see, as things pop up throughout your day while you're working, there's some stuff that you're just like, I want to get this done out of the way right now because I don't care about this bitch. So she completes the 5th Candyman. He's like, I'm just gonna do it now. And then sometimes there's ones where you're just dreading it and you let it go too long and you should have done it already. You should have killed that bitch already.
Right.
But you're like, there's a whole thing here. She's got nice tits. So you kind of like put it off. You're like, I don't want to kill her yet. I kind of like looking at her through the mirror or whatever every time she walks in front of a mirror. So maybe he lets it go too long. Maybe this is just like his work ethic is lacking or really good in the case of this other girl, the first girl who gets it real fast. He just shows up and he's like, boom, you're dead. I'm out. Right. We're done.
So Helen's studying Candyman. And her gives a little bit of her backstory. She's married. Her husband's a professor, and apparently he's got like a kind of a. It hints at him having an affair with one of his students.
Yeah,
pretty early on, and as she's
pulling down some major pootie tang.
Yeah, who's the actor?
Oh, the dude?
Yeah, he looks like...
I have it here, hang.
I have it on the
paper. I have it too.
Do you have it? Xander Berkeley.
Yeah, Xander.
What has he been in?
Let's see here. He has been...
Oh, he was in Heat.
Oh, yeah, hang on.
He was another, like, kind of a-hole...
Oh, he was in Terminator 2, Judgment Day. And Air Force One. And Shanghai Noon. Damn.
What was he in T2?
What was he in T2?
Oh, he was like... No, that's not right.
Man, he's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, he's a recognizable face.
Wow. He's in Apollo 13.
So, anywho, as she's studying and writing about this, she stumbles across more info on Candyman by talking to some of the black janitors that were working in the university.
He was Todd Voight in Terminator 2, the dad, the abusive dad.
Oh, that's right. And he had was he the one with
he got the
finger through the head and the milk carton?
Woofy's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Okay. So she finds out more.
I like that I could tell who it was in the movie just by his name in the movie, Todd Voight, because he's like, that's just my stepdad, Todd. I remember that.
Okay. So she just like stumbles across more info about Candyman, that the folklore around him is really still like alive and well in this one project.
Yeah, Cabrini Green.
And it spurns her curiosity, and she goes and checks it out herself with her friend that she's doing the thesis with.
Your next point.
It must be cold in the car.
No, your next point is the teal and purple gang.
Oh, yeah, they go to the projects with the teal and purple gang hanging around. It's a very 90s aesthetic in the gang colors.
Yeah, it's like the Miami Hornets colors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still have those colors?
I don't think they're still a team.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think they're
not
the Miami Heat now.
That's right.
I'm so
never
bad
heard of
at
them.
sports.
Another thing about appearances, Virginia Madsen looks a lot like Gillian Anderson in this movie. Did you do a double take with that at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. She's
strong Gillian Anderson vibes.
Yeah, and very similar boobies.
Yeah. Have you seen...
Apparently, the Hornets are still a team. I'm so bad at sport ball. I don't know anything.
What was I going to say?
Gillian Anderson.
What was that?
and her boobies.
What was that series with Gillian Anderson where she's like an English detective?
Oh, X-Files.
No, not X-Files. It's recent. It's like The something. Yeah, The Fall. Did you see The Fall?
No.
Watch The Fall.
Oh, why?
Absolutely. It's great. And just really reminded me why I had just the largest crush on Gillian Anderson. And I'm pretty sure you kind of see some of her boobies.
She's so pretty.
She's awesome.
Awesome.
She's awesome.
She's awesome. You remember that part? You remember that part?
Remember when you remember in X-Files when you're playing Dana Scully and you're doing that autopsy?
And you remember when in the X-Files and you were Dana Scully and you got cocooned by those things in the forest? That was awesome.
One of my favorite Dana Scully moments is when she's doing an autopsy and she's describing into the tape recorder the contents of the guy's stomach, and he's like, his head looks like he's got, some dinner, like looks like pepperoni pizza, pepperonis and cheese. She's like, and she takes a beat. She's like, pepperoni pizza. You just realize that she's like exhausted, and she's like, that sounds pretty good right now.
Sounds all right. Yeah.
Maybe I should take a pause. And...
She has that vacant and I don't need you vibe that just sends chills right up my dick. She's just like, I don't care about you. And I'm like, oh my God.
So as she's studying this, Helen has a dinner with her husband with a snooty folklore expert.
The casting in this movie was spectacular, like from top to bottom.
Yeah, the
well cast.
Snooty folklore expert was played by someone Culkin.
He looks like one of the guys from Top Gear.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, he gives the full backstory we already described of being murdered for getting a white woman impregnated. She, goes back and investigates more. She finds like very nice the apartment where she heard a story of someone getting killed by him, Candyman, recently. I never really go into detail of why they call him Candyman.
No,
and she finds some candy with razors in it.
Yeah, she goes. So then she goes to Cabrini Green. She goes into the projects. She's stopped by some
the teal and purple gang,
violent urban youth who prevent her from going into the building, and then reluctantly allow her because apparently she's a student and they respect that. So she heads into the building and she finds basically Candyman's lair. In like
she climbs through all these holes in the walls and
really dilapidated, like completely coming apart. Detroit level dilapidation.
Yeah, everything's got graffiti on it.
And she stumbles upon his lair where and this is the only reference to candy really in the whole movie, apart from them saying candy over and over again.
Or sweets to the sweet.
Yeah, is, she finds a bunch of candy sitting there on the ground and she opens it and it's got razor blades in it.
Yeah.
Like it's going to hurt the kids. Is this where the razor blade idea came from?
No.
It came from real life, didn't it? Somebody found it.
Supposedly. I mean, I don't know if it's an urban legend or not. It was always about like caramel apples.
Oh, yeah. I guess you could probably... Ooh, Jesus, God.
Yeah, because you really got to chomp into one of them. But yeah, I heard about, like, you unwrap all candy because you don't know what's actually in there.
It seems ridiculous.
So she's investigating. She comes across another little boy and asks him about Candyman, and he tells her a tale of this younger boy. I can't remember if he was mentally challenged or not, the boy in the story.
She said he was retarded.
Yeah.
Or he said, the little boy goes, retarded.
Yeah, and he was...
I wish you'd have got that.
This little boy wandered off from his mother to go to the bathroom, and then they heard him screaming and went in, and he had been castrated by Candyman, and his penis was found in the toilet.
Can't put that back.
And
better off being dead.
The quote was, "Found it in the toilet. Can't fix that. Better off dead." Which is another, that was another, like, problematic idea of, like, kind of the history of castration of black people in the U.S. that's not too pretty.
Oh.
Anyways, so she follows that, and she goes in the bathroom to check it out, and on the walls in poop there's written "sweets to the sweet," which is a common reoccurring phrase, which apparently is from Hamlet.
In poop.
My
daughter ate some poop.
Is poop
poop again. This last week. She ate it. She pooped on the ground. She was walking around outside on our back patio. She pooped on the ground, and I didn't catch it fast enough. I didn't even see it happen. She turns around, takes a scoop, throws it in her mouth, and then when I catch it is when I hear this.
Jesus.
She throws up this poop. I was like, oh my god, it's poop, she ate her poop. And but her body did its job. She threw it up.
Poop again.
It's poop again. And you'll all be happy to hear that despite me being a terrible parent, she's all right. But I would like
to come out with stink like that. Poop. Poop mouth. Poop out of your mouth.
Well done. This scene was so gross. This bathroom was nasty.
Yeah.
And there was "sweets for the sweet" written in poop on the walls.
Yeah, and
Bryce,
then, yeah.
It's time to do it. It's time to talk about the thing we keep forgetting to talk about. This is the perfect segue for the Drain Addict.
Oh,
listen.
We've talked about it in the Afterpod before. We are the biggest fans of this YouTube channel, and David has made his mission to spread the word about Drain Addict.
Listen, people. Listen. You need to go support this YouTube channel called Drain Addict. This is an Australian man who is just earning a living.
He's a plumber.
Off of a plumber who specializes in blocked drains. And he's got some great drops that he throws into all his videos. It's hard to tell.
You have to watch one of the videos and then you realize, like, wow, this guy is like, he gets it.
He's meta.
He exactly understands how this whole thing works. It's not like your uncle that's kind of like out of it, that doesn't realize what he's doing is funny, or like
this guy
or interesting.
Is very self-aware and very very meta
in a very subtle way
and
too.
What a showman.
Yeah.
What a beautiful showman. And let me describe, this is going to sound disgusting, but he goes around and he unclogs poop drains. So a lot of the drains in Australia, very different than the setup we got here. They have a clay drain pipes, and so like tree roots can get in there. They can get clogged up. I can't remember the last time anybody I've known has had a drain that's backed up to the extent or in the fashion that these are backed up.
Right.
Basically with gigantic wads of shit.
So here's the thing. David sent me this video, and
so
it is
finally talking about this.
It's one of the best videos I've ever seen on the internet. Just absolutely.
Do you remember what number it was? So all his videos are numbered.
I'm pretty sure it's 402.
Block Drain number 402. Check it out on Drain Addict.
He goes, and it's like an open sewer thing. It's like a full-on like manhole is open, and
there's cockroaches everywhere.
He walks up, and he's got this great walk because it's shown first person for him because he's got a camera on his chest or camera on his helmet or something.
Yeah, he's got a GoPro with him.
And he's walking, and then he swings his arm like a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
Just kind of a weird gait.
Yeah.
It's like,
They love the arms. We got to get drops of this guy on the show is what we got to do.
They love the arms. And then he walks up, and he sees like a horrific showing of just utter, like, caked, impacted shit in this drain.
He's in shorts and short sleeve shirt. And he's got these little fucking gloves on. Like the tips of his fingers are covered.
And then he looks at it and goes, block drain.
And then he just proceeds to spray it with water until it goes away.
It's like...
I'm giddy thinking about this.
Oh, man. And then it has this release eventually where he, like, unblocks it, and then this gigantic, like,
slew
onslaught of backed up water and sewage to where it's like a full show. Because it goes from, like, being an impacted, like, giant, like snake of...
a shit snake.
And it's so like abstract that it's almost like you think of it as dirt.
Yeah.
It looks like, well, at this point it's so decomposed and stuff that it's just dirt. And then the onslaught of sewage comes through and it's undeniable. You're like, that's a log.
There's some corn.
That's a log of shit. There's some toilet paper.
Yeah.
Oh, look, there's someone threw in a maxi pad in there. That was one of the reasons why it's clogged.
Right. Yeah, and if there's any like pimple popper people out there,
it's a great companion to pimple popper videos.
This is right up your alley. It's because there's that build up and then the release and the relief afterwards. You go, that drain is empty.
Yeah,
that thing's running good, and then it'll go back to the house and it'll be like, "Can you run your tap and flush the loo?" And then they do, and he's like, there it goes. And these big clogs of shit will just... and oh, man. My point is, listen to me, people. Support Drain Addict. Tell him Horror Movie Talk sent you. I need to get Drain Addict on our show. This
is David's mission for some reason.
I need to talk to this man.
Has nothing to do with horror movies, but... There's a real horror show on his,
on
his episodes.
Yes, this is adjacent.
Anyways, so back to Candyman. She's in this bathroom, and then a new gang of black men come in, and one is wearing like a trench coat a la Candyman, and he's holding like a meat hook.
He's a Candyman impersonator.
Yeah, he's a false Candyman.
Well, you found him. You found Candyman. I'm him, bitch.
Yeah. And so they attack her and beat the shit out of her. And so it's like it's a red herring because, I mean, not really for the movie viewer, but for her, in that you can just say, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
That guy has been killing people.
Yeah.
You know, because people around here have been seeing, like, literally Candyman, and he's saying that he's Candyman. And turns out it's not true. Candyman is real because he appears to Helen and kind of hypnotizes her in this parking lot, and is like, be my next victim, and is kind of seductive. It's almost like a Dracula.
It's a very Dracula thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like this ongoing long-term seduction. And actually, I like having read nothing about Candyman and having never seen it before, that's really the most perfect parallel to draw here is Candyman is basically Blackula. I'm dead serious. Like this, I mean, there's a part of that that's a joke in me saying Blackula, but he is Dracula. Because Dracula can dispense of people like that, and he does all the time, you know. But there's some people who, for some reason, he becomes infatuated with, and he's like, spend the rest of eternity with me. And that's exactly what Candyman says to her.
Right, and she won't give in to him, so instead, he frames her for murder.
Over and over again.
Over and over again, until she's, like, seen as insane. You know, rightly so.
Right, because of the murder.
Because of the murder. And Vanessa Williams' baby is stolen. You know, it's implied that Helen did it. I know I'm kind of racing through the, you know, full last half of the movie, but basically Helen is framed for murder. Her life is ruined, and Candyman is trying to just get her to give in.
Yeah, just give in. And the idea behind the give in, or his ask to her, is like, hey, go down in history with me. Like, you don't get it. Being an urban legend is fucking great. It's like being a god, because these people worship you. You have a congregation of people who will talk about you in hushed tones. You're the thing that makes passion in relationships more passionate, because there's something to lose.
Right, and there's definitely part of it where he can only survive as long as people are talking about him and fearing him.
And believe in him.
Right, because there's a line where he says something, you know, to live in others' dreams but not be. Something like that.
Yeah. And the whole time she's just like,
hell to the no, to the no, 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 no. Hell no, no, to the no, no.
Yeah, she's not having any part of it most of the time.
So, and then even when she's in like an insane asylum, like he appears to her and she's like, he's right here. And then they check the surveillance video and he's not.
Yeah.
It's like, well, fuck. And then one of the best scenes in the movie is she's being interviewed by the psychiatrist in his office while she's strapped down.
Yeah.
Candyman appears behind the psychiatrist.
Hooks the fuck out of that psychiatrist.
Yeah. And then like it's like pulled on an invisible rope through the window.
Yeah,
it's like a great exit.
You know, the more I'm thinking about this, he is actually Dracula. The mirror thing,
right?
Like the not being seen on camera thing, like it's all just Dracula. It's like the urban legend of Dracula.
Yeah, even the lighting when it lights her eyes, that's very that's straight from like 1930s Dracula or like Morticia Addams.
Yeah,
in the Addams Family. Yeah, lots of cool stuff.
And then the village people coming together and burning them.
Yeah.
Holy shit! We just cracked the code.
Well, wait, isn't that Frankenstein?
I don't know.
Anyways, it's a lot of gothic horror stuff mixed in. It's like a gothic horror gumbo.
That's racist for sure. That's definitely racist.
So the ending is she follows him, finds where he has taken the baby, and let's just
this baby like I feel like we're not doing justice to this poor baby. That's the part of the reason that this movie is almost unbearable to watch again for me, is because this baby is just constantly in these very horrific settings, like just alone and crying, and it's extremely upsetting to me. It makes me not want to watch the movie because it's so gross that this little baby is being kept captive by this monster.
Yeah, and it's a little questionable how long this baby could actually survive, because
it's been weeks.
It shows it's been over a month.
A baby can only survive on candy and razor blades for so long.
Nice. It shows Candyman feeding the baby honey, which, you know, is not healthy for babies.
They can't take the honey. Their little system can't do it.
It's been over a month, because when she's in the psychiatric hospital, they tell Helen that she's been sedated for over a month. So anyways, the baby survives.
The baby survives.
She finds Candyman, and then Candyman like disappears with the baby and puts him inside a big pile of rubble, and then Helen climbs into it, and then the Angry Project's villagers burn the rubble, and she saves the baby but dies herself.
And see, this is the part where I really felt full on. I was like, oh, this is definitely racist, because it was like the black people had turned against her because of, you know, her apparently racist or openly violent actions towards their community. Like, she had been framed for murder, and so to them, they believed she was a murderer. But in reality, she was their savior, because she saved the baby from the flames and lost her own life in the process, and simultaneously saved them from the terror of the Candyman. It's a very problematic thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that was
like a fucking blast, bro.
Oh man, this is gonna be a long episode.
Yeah.
That is Candyman. What are your final recommendations?
This is an important piece of, first of all, black history in horror, and then also just horror in general.
He's a great monster. He's a great character.
It's a good monster. I mean, like I said, I don't think we spent enough time really talking about, what's his name? Tony Todd. Because he does an excellent job in this movie of really being a unique but well-known urban legend bad guy. And I'd say it's worth it. If you got Netflix, you can watch it, and it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie, and also Candyman 2020. You know that's gonna be a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a movie that everyone's going to talk about, good or bad, or however you feel about it. So you should probably do your homework and just give it a watch.
Yeah, agreed. Oh yeah, forgot to mention a little bit of trivia. Tony Todd negotiated into his contract because he saw that he was going to be covered in bees.
Oh.
He negotiated into his contract that if he got stung, he would get $1,000 per sting.
Ooh.
And he got stung like a lot.
Wow.
So he made out okay.
Can you imagine how unbearable that person would be to work with while they're being stung? I got stung again. I'd write it down. Like, that's $67,000 we got to pay this guy. Covering them bees.
Yeah. So check out Candyman on Netflix as long as it's streaming. So let's move on. Let's talk about our new logo, new branding.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's indeed. It's pretty badass. And we got the full package from Dustin. Like, he left. For those of you who aren't familiar with how branding works, or at least logos, there's a lot of different formats and sizes that you need these things in.
Well, also, like, just the process of doing so many revisions and being patient with
examples.
Yeah, he was great. So, started out, our original logo was done by me. I bought like a stock image off of iStock of the skull with headphones on. Yeah. Just copy pasted it twice and then added a speech bubble.
Yeah.
With some drippy lettering. And
it served us well for 2 years almost.
I liked it because I made it, but it's definitely, you're not supposed to use the stuff that so I knew that we needed to redo the logo.
The French.
And David was never a huge fan of the logo, mostly because the drippy lettering is pretty played out in horror movie podcasts.
I wouldn't say I disliked it. It's just, I'm not the drippy letter fan.
Yeah, it could be better.
Yeah.
So Dustin sent us a couple concepts, and the first one was like just the obvious great one.
Yeah, he nailed it right off the bat.
Which is the two skulls like back to back attached. And like kind of conjoined with the headphones with the speech bubble. Probably the longest thing that we discussed
was
the font.
Oh my God.
Because we didn't want it to be like hokey,
overtly horror-y.
Right.
It's got to take a nod to you guys. If you have not delved into the catacombs of fonts that exist in the world, it's never ending. You can die down there like they do in As Above, So Below.
And it's so, like, the differences are so slight, but it does make a difference.
Significant. Each time you're like, I don't like the R's.
Yeah. So, I mean, we wanted it more readable at small sizes. We wanted it to be a little more blocky without being like, your generic Arial or Helvetica font. So we finally settled on a font called Stupidhead. Yeah. Which is kind of a comic book sound effects thing. It's like what you would see.
But it also has like undertones of like classic cinema or horror.
Yeah, like Three Stooges type.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of against type, but it kind of communicates the humor aspects of it. Whimsical.
Yeah, this is a little heady.
This shows you how much we're enjoying the smell of our own farts.
Oh my god.
While creating this logo. No one cares about us, but we are a huge fan. And it's received every comment that we received, they really like it. They think it's pretty badass. And it is.
Except for Jerry. Jerry came in, he was like, "What the fuck is this bullshit?" And I go, "Jerry, you shut your fucking mouth. Get out of here with that." I blocked him from the page. I swear to God.
Okay.
Fuck that guy.
So moving on, we're going to play a new game. This is called Don't Blank on the Blank.
Okay.
So we're horror experts, and one of the things about the genre is there's a lot of two-word titles where it's just the and then something.
Right. The Exorcist, The Fly, The Ring, The...
Right.
Whatever.
There's just so many, it's hard to keep track of, but we keep track of them. Yeah. And so what we're going to do is we're going to play a game. We're going to alternate.
We are horror experts. Right?
So we know these movies.
He has a PhD in spookology.
Yeah. So I've got 5 in case we need a tiebreaker.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read one to you, and what you're going to do is you're going to tell us the plot.
Okay.
And you'll get a point for every
major plot point.
Major plot point in the setup. Like what's the major thing? So like if it was The Exorcist, it would be like, a little girl gets possessed by an ancient demon and her mother doesn't understand what's going on. She calls in the exorcist.
You have possession, you have little girl, and you have an exorcist, right? You have and then an exorcism takes place. So those would be the major plot points that you got to get.
Yeah. And okay, so we'll do that, and every major plot point that matches with the actual plot. I mean, I'm sure we'll get all of them.
Yeah.
You'll get a point.
Okay,
first up, from 2012, really recent, The Apparition.
Oh, okay. Do you have this? Do you have the description pulled up in front of you so you can kind of keep track of whether or not I'm doing this well or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, The Apparition from 2012. I am a horror expert. I can't say I actually know this movie.
No, you know it.
Oh, I do. Okay. You're right. Of course I've seen this, The Apparition. So this starts in the desert.
Okay.
And there's a caravan moving through the desert, and as they're working their way through, they keep seeing something on the horizon. And it's kind of like a mirage. And so they go, "Oh, this is a mirage. Oh, well, that's obviously a mirage."
It's an apparition.
But in reality, they're being fooled, and it's actually an apparition that keeps showing up ahead of them and guiding them towards an oasis that ends up and then they get there, and everything in the oasis, and it's beautiful, and it's got a bunch of palm fronds and water, and at this point they're running low on supplies, so this is like a savior moment. But as it turns out, the whole thing is an apparition, and like the water that they thought they were drinking was stagnant and disgusting, and the dates they were eating were actually just piles of shit. And so that's kind of, and then like the apparitions come and they take them over.
The apparition. So it's like ghosts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like desert ghosts.
Not even close.
Oh, wait, none of the points?
None of it. So the storyline for the apparition from IMDb says, when frightening events start to occur in their home, young couple Kelly...
their home?
Yeah, in their home. Kelly and Ben discover they're being haunted by a presence that was accidentally conjured during a university parapsychology experiment. The horrifying apparition feeds on their fear and torments them no matter where they try to run. The last hope is an expert in the supernatural, but even with his help, they may be too late.
I mean, I feel like I got some of those kind of close.
Okay, I'll give you half a point.
Oh, thank God.
All right, you pick one for me to do.
Okay, let me just bring it up here. Okay, so we have The Fury from 1978. So you have to give me the synopsis, probably briefer than me, of The Fury. Or, I mean, you can go full hog if you want,
So The Fury, this is... What year is it from?
Yeah, this is 1978. So this is right around the time of Alien.
Okay. So this is kind of a proto-zombie movie. Mm-hmm. Like where there's a disease that creates a fury among the infected, and they just attack anything that's close and start ripping up and demolishing everything around them. It's starring Dennis Hoffman.
Wow.
Not Dennis Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin, right, yeah. Dennis Leary, Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman as the scientist that's trying to investigate a cure. But his son gets infected, which is played by a very young Corbin Burnson.
Oh. Wow.
And then, his son gets infected and the stakes are raised, but he's not able to save him. And then eventually the entire world is infected by the Fury, and Dustin Hoffman gives in.
Wow. So you kind of supposing this is like a proto 28 Days Later,
yes,
kind of.
Yes,
it's
like the unsung inspiration for 28 Days Later.
Yeah. Okay. So unfortunately, that's 100% wrong. Okay. So here's the quick synopsis. A former CIA agent uses the talents of a young psychic to help retrieve his telekinetic son from terrorists who use his mental powers for evil. And this stars Kirk Douglas, John Cassavetes, and Carrie Snodgrass. So I mean, I think you might have gotten it confused with maybe a different.
Okay, well,
these are tough, but I hold out hope for the rest of these.
Oh, the one I was thinking about is The Flurry.
The Flurry. I might have mispronounced it a little bit.
Anyways, okay, let's go on to the next one. This is apropos.
Okay.
The Day.
Yeah, my name's David Day. Obviously, I have Google Alerts set up for everything, with my name in it. Obviously, as you do.
All right, what's the movie about, though, David?
What year was this?
This was 2011.
Ooh. Oh, pretty recent. Okay, so The Day is a trick, right? Because it's got you thinking. It's got you thinking about the daytime with the title, but in reality, it's a land of constant night, and our cast is
it's got Vin Diesel in there, right?
It does. It has Vin Diesel in it, and he's constantly talking about what it was like in the day. But none of the other characters, they were all born in the night, because on this planet that it's the day-night cycles take like 10 years. Or maybe it's like 20 years. I can't really remember. It's been a while. So he's constantly talking about, and there's all these monsters that come in. There's like alien monsters, and they only come in the dark.
Oh, I think I've seen this.
Yeah, and they attack while it's dark. So they're waiting for the daytime. It's like they're
So for 10 years, the monsters are attacking? Why would they live there?
Well, I mean, it's just I think maybe they crash landed or something like that.
Right.
I can't really remember. But I think I got enough points in that synopsis to kind of
Wrong. Oh. A group of 5 people working to stay alive in a post-apocalyptic future. It's future. You get a point.
Okay.
That's a full point. Discover what they think is a safe, abandoned farmhouse, but they soon find themselves fighting to stay alive as a gang of bloodthirsty predators attack. That's 2 points.
Bloodthirsty predators.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
I'm telling you, I am a horror
pretty good.
expert. Wow.
All right, you pick one.
Okay.
maybe I can claw back some points.
Okay, let's see here. We got from
you can pick either one of the two. You don't have to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Then maybe not this one. Maybe I'll pick this one. Okay, how about from 2011, The Taint?
The Taint.
Yes.
This is a great one. Follows kind of the idea of teeth.
Right.
Where it has the vagina with teeth.
Vagina dentata.
That eats people.
Right.
This is the taint, which, also called the gooch.
Next door neighbor to the vagina.
It's that part between like your ball sack and your anus.
Or the bottom of the vagina and the anus.
Yeah. That like ridge.
Yeah.
That's the taint. This tells the story of, what is this, 2011?
Yes.
So this is Elijah Wood. This must be like mid Lord of the Rings or right after?
This would be well after Lord.
Well after? Okay. Yeah. I can't get my timeline right. So yeah, this is like the first big movie that he had after Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
A lot of people look over. But Elijah Wood, he is clambering through his grandfather's basement, and he finds an ancient tome, the Necrotanticon.
Wow.
It's bound in the ancient taint skins of those who have gone before him.
Can you imagine what that book would look like?
His grandfather, by the way, is played by Ian McKellen.
Wow. This is like Lord of the Rings 2.
Yeah.
That would be the most sensitive book ever.
Yeah. You just really like to, rub your fingers over that spine.
Oh. The spine of that taint.
And he opens it, and there's a lot of scrawled in blood? ? Warnings not to read the words, but he does, of course. And then an ancient evil infects his taint, and all of a sudden it's a gaping maw. And every time he falls asleep, it takes over his body, and he's like running on all fours except backwards.
I feel like you're padding this a lot.
No, this is what the movie is.
Okay, all right.
So he's running off fours, like backwards, so you get the full taint exposure. He's like straight legging it,
right,
running backwards, and then it just attacks all of his neighbors, and there's a big mystery, and then eventually Elijah Wood figures out what's going on, and
you're really throwing the kitchen sink at this one.
And then he defeats the ancient evil.
Okay, here's the actual summary from the plot of The Taint from 2011, which is a real movie.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no.
I know.
Same. Okay.
I know. The water is tainted. The taint poisons the minds of men.
Oh.
I'd say you got that.
Like a 1.
I'd say you got that right. It got into
kind of
Elijah's
possession
head.
kind of thing. Yeah.
So that's 1 point. It turns them into raging misogynists, monsters who want nothing more than to crush women's heads with rocks or other objects, in parentheses.
It's pretty specific.
When society is transformed into a land of sadistic violence and horrible brutality, it is up to Phil O'Ginny and his hot friend, Missandra, to combat the horrible evil that is the taint. Can they survive a world brimming with castration and endless head crushing? ? Exclamation point. I'm comfortable giving you a 1.5 with this. Because you did mention violence.
Yeah.
And there is definitely violence in this movie as well.
Yeah.
So that
from possession and
right. But nevertheless, I think I did pull ahead.
Yeah.
I think
you
got
you won that
2.5
game.
points versus your 2.
And that was don't blank on the blank.
On the blank.
Okay. Lastly, we'll do some. It came from social media.
Yes, it came
from social media
to fill the world with terror, to bring you unforgettable suspense. What was it? Where did it come from? Who were the all-powerful creatures it brought
from social media?
And what did they want on Earth?
Came from social media is where we read comments from listeners like you, or questions, and from across the span of our social media accounts. Starting out with Reddit this week.
We do have a subreddit, r/horror movie talk. Check it out.
Yep. Andrew the Roberts, user Andrew the Roberts on Reddit, said, great show, guys.
This is in regard to Evil Dead 2.
Evil Dead 2. He says, I've listened to a lot of episodes and it's really good and funny. I expected it to be a typical new show that was horrible audio and structure, but you guys blew all that away. The sound is great. So he's like telling us, like, giving us compliments about the show. And I was asking him, how he found us and what the process was for that. And he basically gives the outline of my wet dream of how people discover us and their decision making. I don't know. Well, I like it that I can read Andrew saying it, so I don't have to shit on other podcasts.
Right. Yeah.
But he said, I found you guys online, actually. I wanted a podcast that focused on the movies in the horror genre because I found that if the show does multiple topics, then some material doesn't get the time it deserves. And I've tried people like The Amazing Nerd Show and Nightmare on Film Street, but those guys just weren't all that great. The Amazing Nerd Show had sound issues, and Nightmare on Film Street was super extra and cringy in their approach to comedy, so I decided to look up some new pods, and y'all were the first hit. Thought to myself, I love the art. I'll try this one. I'm sure he loves the art even more now. And honestly, the art, he's talking about the post art.
Yeah.
By Dustin, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly, it blew me away. Normally, other new ones or new to me podcasts I tend to try too hard or have awful sound. But again, y'all killed it. I listened to the episode on Hereditary, which is one of my personal favorites, and I loved it. So basically, I've added this to as my number 2 on my podcast list for work. So shooting for number 1.
Shooting for that number 1 spot.
Andrew, but yeah, we looked at some of the other horror movie podcasts. I'm sure some of our listeners listen to them too and like them, but felt that there was a opportunity to like have more of a formatted or structured show.
Yeah, more radio-like.
Which wasn't so cutesy and cringy.
Yeah, to me, a lot of what's out there right now, or especially when we started, maybe not so much now, is really pandering. It felt pandering to me when I listened to it.
Yeah,
it felt like it was trying way too hard. Super extra.
Guys, I look at my latest tat of Jason, and let's let's have these. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
if I
just
get a tattoo because of this show, it's gonna be like Jason Bateman saying, "Don't just stare at it, eat it," and it's gonna be pointing my butthole. Whoa! Did we just come up with a tattoo for me?
Jesus.
Hang on.
Write that down.
Hang on, I got it.
Sabrina, don't just stare at it. Eat it.
Oh man, that would be great to have it be so specific that it says Sabrina. Don't just stare at it, eat it.
And then someone's going to be like, who's Sabrina?
And I'm be like, we need to sit down and watch a movie. And then when he says it, I'm going to point to my asshole.
So, feeling pretty good about the discovery by Andrew.
Andrew the Roberts, we love you, man. Thank you so much for reaching out to us.
And then, not to disparage Andrew, but...
You're going to do to Andrew what you did to our guy from Southie?
Maybe.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Andrew, he said, I do have one question. Those ads that you guys have at the beginning of your podcast, are they completely satirical or made up, or are they real and y'all add some funny ad lib to it? Which is...
What?
An interesting question.
Why?
I mean... is it not clear?
I'm confused what you're asking right now.
So, are they real or fake, David?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious.
Anyways,
I think it's pretty obviously real. Isn't that?
Well, I told Andrew that they're fake.
I've been feverishly mailing every single, like S-Mart. You don't have any idea how long it took me to nail down S-Mart for our last episode.
I asked Andrew what...
I feel like you're gleaming over this a little bit.
What ad do you think...
Have you not been mailing the people who... the whole point is to secure sponsorship, Bryce.
I asked him, what ad do you think sounds like a real thing? And he said, I thought the one about the lady virginity and the ether wipes were real, but then the one episode you elaborated the ether wipes saying that they would put you to sleep and sold on .onion, and then I knew that one was fake. But yeah, I totally thought some were real because...
Are you telling me you didn't secure sponsorship for the ether wipes? I thought that was going to be one of our biggest payouts when it started rolling out.
I only had the one ad. I mean, see, that's the thing. We never...
There was 2 ads for ether wipes.
Was there?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess we'll have to talk after the podcast.
We have a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. You fucking...
Anyways, thanks, Andrew. The other one we were pretty excited about, user Evie Black... we did our post on Evil Dead 2 on the horror subreddit, so /horror.
Blew up.
Yeah.
Blew up.
Man, I do not understand that subreddit at all.
I don't get it.
Sometimes our posts will be like utter nothing.
Yeah.
Like it'll be instantly 2 downvotes and no one will ever see it. And then this Evil Dead 2 one got 1,500 upvotes.
Yeah.
And anyways, I think this is the first time this has happened. Someone in the post was a listener.
Yeah, they were like, oh, shit. Yeah, I just started listening to you guys. Now I see you on this subreddit. That's cool. It's like, oh, well, thanks, Evie.
Yeah, he said he was watching Evil Dead because of us, and he just stumbled on the post. So Evie loves Evil Dead, and we asked him what his favorite horror movie was, and he says my favorite is definitely either Alien or The Thing. I lean more towards Alien because there's such a big universe around it.
Dude, that's it. Those are my 2 biggest ones, by the way. And I don't know, we didn't mention it at the top of the show, but we just did a guest spot on one of our sister podcasts, the Scariest Things podcast, where they were celebrating their 100th episode, and they had an NCAA March Madness like matchups between a bunch of different horror movies, and I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but I did call it from the beginning. I said Alien would win, and I was the only one who was tooting that horn the whole way through, and sure enough, your boy, Horror Movie Talk, David Day, pulled it off for the HMT team. Congrats, by the way, to Scariest Things on your 100th episode. We just hit 102, by the way. That was
Yeah, this is our 101st episode, actually.
Yeah.
So Evie also went on to say, thank you for doing an episode on As Above, So Below. It's so underrated. Definitely a star in the found footage category. And we agree. So we're just glad to run into someone on one of the horror subreddits.
Yeah, no kidding. B Marks on Facebook came at us and told us that the Necronomicon equals... Yeah, it is a Lovecraft. So we had some questions because we're just kind of retarded and didn't know. He said, yeah, it is a Lovecraft-based anthology. She said. We are good at misgendering. That's our bag. That's basically our calling card. If you like anthology movies like Creepshow, Twilight Zone, Cat's Eye, etc., you might want to check it out. So again, Necronomicon is a Lovecraft-based anthology. She also says it's been a while since she's seen it, but she would give it a high 5, maybe a low 6 in the 10 out of 10 rating. It's a very, very Lovecrafty, and it has some good practical effects and a real and a pretty good cast with Jeffrey Combs as Lovecraft. She remembers it being a little dragging in some parts. She'll have to rewatch it. She says her husband is a huge horror movie buff, so our movie room is horror themed, and I have built him the popsicle paper mache house from Dream Warriors, sculpted Pamela Voorhees' head and made him Ash's severed hand to support his hobby. I said, can you send us some pictures of this shit? Because this sounds your movie room sounds incredible.
Yeah, it is legit. Like, she sent some pictures, and it is like enviable.
Yes, this you would be blown away by this. They're making props. Like movie level props.
Yeah, I know that the whole thing with the horror community for going after VHS tapes, I mean, it's beyond me. I don't really understand why, other than maybe you can only find some stuff on VHS.
Yeah, maybe.
But I was like, man, if we did like a video podcast,
some
like
nostalgia
in the background, I was like, maybe we should get VHS. But it was like, no, what if we got laser discs? Because then it would be like bigger format. Anyways, her husband's way ahead of us. He has like a whole wall full of Laserdisc.
Yeah.
Of Laserdisc covers of all these horror classics, and they're all signed.
Yeah, it's something else. Are you going to put any of those pictures on the?
Yeah, I'll remember to put them on the post.
And we could probably like just reshare them on Facebook and Twitter. Be like, check out what our fan did if she's okay with it. She said she was.
Yeah. And then Kitty, we've mentioned Kitty a lot. She says, "Hi guys, question for you and the masses. If you were being hunted down by an unstoppable knife-wielding psycho, think Halloween, what is your foolproof plan to get away/hide?" And then she gives one of the worst ideas that I've ever heard.
I felt bad berating her, but also justified.
She says, my go-to plan is to hide behind the bathroom door, making cat noises to attract their attention. Nobody can resist petting a cat. Wait for them to come in, throw a bucket of sticky gloss paint in their face, which I would handily have lying around for such occasions, and run out the front door. And don't act like this isn't something you have ever planned for.
If you don't shut your fucking mouth, I will kill you.
You're dead, Kitty. There's no way for you to survive. I can't believe that this is the first plan.
First thing is I'll go in an enclosed space and hide behind another barrier. All right, Kitty, come on, get your shit together, sweetheart.
I couldn't tell if she was. I feel like I was being trolled a little bit. She kept with it though. She's like, "Have you been covered in glossy paint?"
All right, so let's get the part that makes sense. The glossy paint, good idea.
What's happening?
The glossy paint, like, it could blind someone for a little bit because it can be dripping down.
We're talking horror movie logic here. If a can of paint fell on Michael would just keep walking at you.
Well, right. But also, you throw it at him, but also, like, cover the floor with it because it's really slippery.
This is like bringing Home Alone logic to Halloween. It's impossible. It won't work.
I think it would work. I think that element works, and then running out the door. Those two elements, like, that's fine. Or just, running out the door. That's fine too.
I have a better one. Lock them in a basement, light the house on fire, because that has worked several times. Set up a house full of booby traps, deadly booby traps. Now there's fucking, I'm gonna dump a bucket of water on his head and then tar him, feather him. It's like, okay.
Yeah, first I would take out my cell phone, call 911, get the police coming, and then I would go on the ground floor bathroom.
Get stabbed to death.
Ground floor bathroom, and lock the door. And
I can't believe
don't make a peep.
Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
And then once they're trying to cut through the bathroom door, jump out the window and run away.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, anything's better than kitties, basically. Like, yeah, sure. Your idea was good compared to kitty.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Kitty. We love you. And then finally, Jason on Facebook, he has been our memeologist. He sent us a bunch of sound clips of him doing a Peter Griffin impression, which was pretty spot on, pretty great. Here's a couple of those.
This week's Horror Movie Talk is brought to you by Peter Griffin's one-man show, Winston Churchill, We Hardly Knew Ye. Act 1. Hello, I'm Winston Churchill. Would you like tea? I would, because I'm Winston Churchill. Would you like crumpets? I would, because I'm Winston Churchill. Would you like some...
And then...
I would, because I'm Winston Churchill.
And then this one...
Yeah, fuck, not the woods. Nothing good ever happens in the woods.
That's Bryce's favorite
He
drop.
did a couple drops. Anyways, yeah, thanks, Jason, for sending those over.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Pretty good stuff.
So check us out on social media. We're on everything. Go to horrormovietalk.com and click through one of them links. Thanks to all our patrons and... to Scariest Things podcast. Congratulations on your 100th episode. Thanks for having us on that show so we could vote on our picks for the bracket. Again, if you want to support the show, check out Patreon. Go to horrormovietalk.com and click through to Amazon. Check out Shudder. Use code HMT at checkout.
And maybe pay them some money so that we actually have some conversions over there.
Yeah. Thanks to listeners like you.
Yeah.
Until next week, this is Horror Movie Talk, where we talk about problematic movies.
We sure do. You guys have a great week. We love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Who can take a rusty hook and split a chest in two? Cover it with honey and some killer bees too. The Candyman. The Candyman can. Who appears in mirrors if you call his name 5 times to get revenge for being lynched by angry racist whites. The Candyman. The Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he needs another victim, and you're looking pretty good.